All right, so last week I asked everyone what their Rivals 2 EVO predictions are. I got a lot of responses. We're going to go through every single one, and I'm going to talk about them as we go, and then I've got my own big list of things to talk about, but I noticed a few of y'all already touched on those, so we'll see how it goes. Wings of Light 6 predicts that we're going to get a new fire character, because the fire in the logo is the last one that hasn't changed yet, / half joke. They would be happy to get Artemis or Malo. Squidbeakers says, judging how the first year's DLC roster has been seemingly comprising of returning fighters for each of the different elements, Edalis is water, Olympia is earth, and Apsa is air, they predict Malo will be the next veteran fighter for fire. Lynn Real says Sylvanos Copium, and that's all they have to say on that. The Pizza Guy 5000 says that they need Dart Monkey from Bloons TD. Okay, Dart Monkey. Sure. Synthesis 0894 says story mode chapter 1 announcement with a trailer for a brand new character that's connected to the first chapter. We're getting into it now. Silly Goose 870, who's in the chat, says that their uncle works at Aether Studios. He said Eliana is getting announced and replacing Claren. That'd be crazy. 666 Blaziken says, I want to say Slade announced. I'll talk about that. That wasn't actually in my Copium list, but that's something I'll talk about. Both players, another content creator for Rivals 2, says that they're full Copium, but I feel like the character announcement is going to be Lorena. IDK, something about a grappler being showcased at EVO just feels right to them. Or they said Lorena is 2026, so that's not happening. We still have one more 2025 character, and Lorena's 2026. Kuma says that they would love to see story mode or abyss mode, hopefully with online co-op. Artemis or Slade for a new character announcement would bang. Maybe a new weird minigame mode like Tetherball or a pet raising minigame. J Mission says that they're going to announce Rivals 3. Well, we have Rivals 3D. K-Shock wrote a lot. So K-Shock thinks we're going to get a character announced. Thinks it's going to be a bit early. They think it's going to be Slade or maybe Malo because of some early leak. They don't know how valid that claim is. First chapter of story mode would be great. A character related to the story mode. They really like how Dungeons of Aether's story was written, and they're hoping that they're going to announce an event related to Bandit Maple or Mecha Raster's event. Dan mentioned that Edalis is getting a skin really soon. Yeah, wonder what that's going to be, huh? Artemis and Slade would be sick. I'm like the #1 Dungeons fan. We've got like 2 #1 Dungeons fans in here today. They can't wait to see the Dungeons characters. Yeah, the Dungeons characters are really popular. Boxing Edalis skin. You know what, maybe. I know that there was like this interview, the dev interview of saying no dungeons this year, but I think that that's something that can change. If they're feeling out the hype for certain dungeons characters, like I think Slade was hyped really early on, Bikini Edalis. But Slade was hyped really early on. We're talking like a year ago even. If Slade was in the pipeline at all, it wouldn't be difficult for them to see that people, if they were reacting to people's Slade hype a year ago, it wouldn't be difficult for them to have responded to that hype a year ago and push him up to the last character this year. All the K's love Slade. Like, I have no doubt that one of the 2026 characters will be dungeons, if not even 2 of them. But like, we've got 3 dungeons characters left who are 100% confirmed: Hamir, Slade, and Artemis. And I think that like the dream team that they teased, Dreams of Aether, which was Absa, Sylvanos, Artemis, and Hodan, roadmap? What do you mean by roadmap? Like, we'll get a new roadmap? Maybe. Yeah, actually a new roadmap isn't that far-fetched either. But yeah, we have 3 dungeons characters to get. I think Dream Team it wasn't them giving away the character release order. I don't think it was, at least. I do think that it was them saying these are characters we're prioritizing, and it makes sense. Every single one of those characters, except arguably Sylvanos, are going to be story relevant very early on. At the end of Dungeons of Aether, Artemis was commanded by Loxodont to go, or she had to go handle Zetterburn. I believe Loxodont marked him as a traitor, said he stole the torch, whatever they... we're not going to deep dive into that too hard. Artemis's first thing is that she was commanded by Loxodont to go to Godai Delta. So she's on her way there. So she kind of has to be in the game sooner than later if they're going to stick with... They could decide to change that. They're not locked into anything, but I'm pretty sure if they're going with that being her thing and she's going straight to Godai Delta, then that is going to matter. She's going to have to be in the game sooner than later. I don't know if that necessarily means she'll be DLC 4. She could be. That'd be cool. I think that would be like the best fire character to add. Oh, and we'll get into the balance of the elements in a little bit. Probably when I go on my tirade about Malo. We're gonna get a big announcement no matter what. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a character. It's been a character at least 2 years in a row, right? I think 2 years. EVO announcements can't be really long, so we're not looking at we're not going to get like a Rivals Direct type thing. We'll probably get a trailer for something. The trailer will possibly cover it'll be a character trailer, but then it might cover a few extra things. They can only really show a trailer and then quickly talk about it. Like I think last year they showed Orcane and then they just said, also we have a big announcement. All character DLC will be free, and like the crowd went wild for it. Artemis's gimmick in Dungeons is so strange. I wonder how they'll translate it to her fighting gameplay. We'll see. They're definitely not going to do Rage. Rage is too hated for Artemis to get Rage. The new character, I really, really do not think it's going to be Returner. I really don't think it's going to be a Returner. It's either going to be Extended Universe or someone completely new. I'm going to go on my tirade about Malo, because I have no idea why everyone thinks Malo is going to be the next character, why everyone thinks Malo is going to be the next fire character, because there's no way. It's definitely not Malo, and Malo is not coming for a very long time. Oh, EVO having a limit to how long the announcement can be is a good point. Yeah, definitely. Dan and team are going to focus on characters that will be most relevant to story mode chapters. Malo and Palm are not going to be story relevant for a very long time, because we have, at the very least, we have to deal with Loxodont, the Abyss, maybe, okay, this one, they can do this one in whatever order. Whatever the hell's going on in Edalus World is going to be its whole own thing too. I've seen people saying they want a fully new character, but I think the team wants to add all the returning characters and Dungeons characters first before they start presenting us with a new guy. No. Surely we get Guadua as a real character when Workshop comes out. It'll be funny if Guadua is like the example Workshop character 2 times in a row. We have the entire Hodojo besides Hodan. So we have Rano, we have Olympia, we have Absa, who are now like the 3 Hodojo fighters. They've kind of got their own team thing going on. Before they could just plot Malo and Palm into the past whenever they want, since it's time travel shenanigans. They're not gonna do that. That'd be stupid. Master Kai, maybe. I would not expect it because he's a heavy. I think they're gonna back off on heavies for a little bit. Yeah, Absa is one of Hodan's students. We've got 3 of Hodan's students, but we're missing Hodan, and he has a stage. So my prediction is not that Hodan's the next character, but Hodan's gonna be the next returner. Yeah, Hodan's gonna be the next returner, which is gonna be one of the characters in 2026. Might not even be the first 2026 character, but he's going to be early on. He's going to be story relevant. They could change the fire part of the logo to smoke for Malo. They could also change it to smoke for Clayan. They could change it to some other fire thing for Artemis. Sylvanos is going to be a 2027 returner. I am like super confident that Dan considers Lorena to be a returner. You think it's too soon for a new character? No. Only because it's EVO. If it was any other thing, yes. But it is technically too soon, but not too soon. And it's definitely not too soon to want to get a character up on the EVO stage, especially a brand new character that is going to be really hyped. They could skip a character, but I think that would be a real, like, if they wanted to just announce game features, they could, but I think that's a really bad idea. They have a lot of Aether Studios and off-brand games people going to EVO this year. Apparently there's going to be a lot of people there, which of course it's EVO, but I think that's also means they want to make a big announcement, and they've done a big EVO announcement like every year. It's got to be a character. If we include Lorena as a returner, that gives us 6 returning characters, which will mean the 2-1. I'm not going to call it the 2-1-1 rule anymore. It's the 2-1-1 guide, because like they haven't followed it yet. So the 2-1-1 guide is going to be relevant at least 3 of 4 of the years where it's can be a thing. So if we don't count Lorena as a returner, for whatever reason, I don't know why people don't want to count Lorena as a returner, despite Dan saying Lorena is a returning character. She has a fully designed kit. She's already playable in Rivals 1. You can't call her a new or extended universe character if she's already playable and she's already had a kit for years. No matter what silly little rules you want to give it, she doesn't follow the rule of this is a brand new character with a brand new kit that we are designing for our brand new engine. If we ignore all the evidence and say there's only 5 returning characters left, that means that only 2 of the 4 years that we will be getting returning characters, the 2-1-1 character guide would only be relevant for 2 of 4 of the years. So like, why even have it at this point? If Lorena is a returner, which she is a returner, the 2-on-1 guide can be followed for 3 of the 4 years it would have been relevant. Nothing has the hype of a character, not even Story Mode or Workshop. Yeah, it's that simple. People care about characters in fighting games. Yeah, that's what matters the most in a fighting game. Especially at EVO, where you've got the most people watching. That's just how it's gonna be. I kind of had like some thoughts about what the new character element is gonna be. I'm thinking either air or water, or possibly even the 5th element. If the character select has the 4 elements, and then maybe they have like an ether element, and then also they have a demon element, and those 2 are opposite of each other, that could be really cool. Anyi is a character that is she's not confirmed, but she's also not deconfirmed. Dan even mentioned that they're not against the idea of adding more workshop characters. If it's new era, I wouldn't mind Swiftwing. Yeah. I think Swiftwing is up there, but I don't think he's going to be like this year. So I don't want to rule out a brand new character being a 5th element either. If they want to do an other category, or if they want to have Ether and then they put the demons in Ether. Like they wouldn't do air 2 times in a row. I don't think that matters to them. They've already said that that doesn't matter to them. Dan has said that they'll do 3 fire characters in a row if they really want to, so that doesn't really matter. Fire already has 4 characters. Water is the element that hasn't got a character in the longest time, so I feel like it should be water. It could be water. It's important to note that Earth and Fire is really, really stacked right now. If Fire got a new character now, we wouldn't see another one for a really, really long time. I know I just said that like Dan and team said they'll do 3 Fire characters in a row, and I don't doubt them. I still don't think they would do that, but I think if it meant doing 2 air characters in a row, that's something they'd be more okay with. If we list out every single character that is 100% confirmed, so absolutely confirmed characters, we have 6 fire characters, we have 5 air characters, we have 6 earth characters, and then 5 water characters. I don't think that means we're never going to get new fire characters or new earth characters, but it does mean that if we do get a new fire or earth character sooner than later, it's going to be a long time before we get another one. And I don't think that necessarily means that the next character has to be air or water, but I think it does give it a lot more probability. I think it's more realistic than, well, they haven't changed the fire in the logo yet. We have to think about like the logo. Are they going to keep doing this? Are they just going to keep updating the logo every single time a new character gets added? And personally, I think they will, but I don't think it's, if the next character is air for some reason and they replace it with something that's supposed to represent the new character. It's not going to be Eliana, but like, let's say the next character was Eliana and they put a steam cloud and a missile coming out of it. Like that would be really cool. But I think they're just going to keep doing that, and I don't think it necessarily means that the next character has to be fire because they haven't changed the fire yet. I just think it is something they're going to keep doing. Also, something I wanted to point out, predicting based on the logo changes. The logo change was not present in Edelus's reveal trailer. It was added when Edalus was added into the game. Huh, interesting. Didn't know that. Which makes me think it wasn't part of the original plan and was added on later. Yeah, that's how I feel hearing that information. So someone was mentioning how like if we do get a character announcement, it's going to be it's kind of early. So I think that means we're going to have a longer hype cycle. They typically announce a character a month before release. They've done that for every single character. They've announced the character a month before they were released, which gives them a month-long hype cycle. If they announce a character at EVO, we'd probably still see an early or mid-October release at the early, okay, so if they stay on schedule, the next character would be on the 30th of September, the 7th of October, or possibly even the 21st of October, and I feel like that's a little bit late, so we probably wouldn't see that. DLC 4, if they did get announced at EVO, I don't think it's entirely unplausible for them to come out on September 16th. If we want to, say, make the hype cycle a little bit shorter. If we announce the new character at EVO and then release them mid-September, that's a month and a half. so it's a little bit longer, but I think people would be okay with a little bit longer of a hype cycle for like a brand new character. And then they can hype that character up for a very long time. They could do lots of dev streams and things like that. Like I said earlier, the announcement has to be big because it's EVO. It's when Rivals will have the most eyes on it. A character announcement generates the most hype, but the next biggest EVO size announcements could be story mode, console releases, workshop. If they didn't do a character, which is still something they could decide to do, they could just not do a character. They could announce story mode, a console release, or workshop. A story mode teaser isn't impossible, but I don't think it would be like a full story mode announcement. Console release announcement is possible, but it would need like a huge behind the scenes backer to be like coming out anytime soon. And I'm talking like Sony, Microsoft levels of backing. And I sort of doubt that's a thing that's happened yet. Maybe like with like EVO hype, when companies like see, oh, Rivals of Aether was the most signed up extended lineup game. Oh, Rivals of Aether outdid Mortal Kombat. Oh, Rivals of Aether keeps outdoing these games on the main stage. That could be enough to get people to, to get these big companies to notice Rivals of Aether. I don't know if anyone's like chomping at the bit to sign on a plat fighter after what happened with Multiversus, but I think like these big studios are something about, I think Rivals of Aether too would be an incredible Game Pass game. I think it would get a lot of attention on the Microsoft Game Pass, so that would be something that like I think Aether Studios and Microsoft and Off-Brand would probably really like to do if they could come to an agreement for it. If Sony decides, the Sony PlayStation 5 doesn't really have a lot of, we think there's like some potential in having a plat fighter on our console. It wouldn't be completely unfounded for Sony to offer resources, just getting them the resources that they need to get production towards getting it on their console. That's something they could do. A workshop announcement is possible, and I think it's like so possible that I wouldn't even count it out. And I also wouldn't be surprised if workshop got announced alongside DLC 4. So you know how like Guadua was the example character, like how to make a character and what you can do in workshop. DLC 4 could be both the workshop example and the actual character release. Someone mentioned, what if they do a new roadmap? And they could, but if they announce it at EVO, like they show it at the end of DLC 4 trailer, which they could do, they're not going to talk about it. They'll do like one big stage announcement. They'll be like, and we have our brand new roadmap for you guys to check out. And like, we're going to be maximizing that thing and hyper analyzing it. But if they do put out a new roadmap, they're not going to talk about it. Maybe they'll talk about it in the Discord. A new roadmap is entirely possible, especially after a year of development. They might have a better idea of what things they want to focus on. The poll that they put out, the player survey, back in I think April, they've definitely had enough time. Dan has already talked about it, so they've definitely put in a lot of work into analyzing what things players want and how soon they can get those things out and then change priority. As much as I would like a Rivals Direct style series of announcements, it's really only going to be the one or two major things. So I don't think they're going to announce features like stages or buddies or enhanced lobbies or training options, but they might show them off in the trailer. So like, don't be surprised if a buddy show, like, wouldn't it be really fun if if DLC 4's trailer starts off by showing a buddy on the screen and then the character appears? Everyone is like, wait, is this little dog? Is that DLC 4? And then like DLC 4 jumps in. Another thing is how EVO lines up with an event launch. And like, we know for sure that the event launches on Tuesday the 5th. They're not going to be able to dedicate any ad time to it, but they'll find a way to squeeze it in between bracket for fun. Like it'll be like a minute long. And they, everyone's just gonna say, wow, that's a cool new skin. I think the next event will get announced at EVO, but like not on a main stage thing. An important thing to remember with an EVO announcement, this is Aether Studios' one chance to shout something to like the entire game world. Not just to Smash fans or fighting game players, also non-fighting game players watch EVO. It's probably like the only event they do watch. A lot of gaming journalists cover EVO news because, EVO's treated nowadays kind of like another place where one does, they announce their fighting game news. So a lot of gaming journals will cover that stuff. Things that appeal to casual players are also really valuable to announce at EVO. Character announcements are always good for casual players, especially if it's a new character. Casual players don't care about Malo. I'm sorry. This is my hopium. Like, when it comes to things I hope that are going to get announced but probably won't, I really want them to announce co-op versus AI at EVO on the stage. It's like really hard to play this game with your friends. Not necessarily, like, you know, if they come over, if you're playing in person, you can play versus them, or you can play versus bots. We can't even do it in a private lobby, right? It's very frustrating, and like, I would absolutely do that if I could, with my friends who are just getting started with the game. I would just set up bots, and like we would start them at low levels, and then as my partner's doing better, I'll like level up the bot, like, you know, like the bot match mode. We really need that online, and I think a lot of people, if people found out, hey, we're adding a mode where you can team up with your friends, or you can team up with a stranger, you can earn event experience, and co-op Abyss mode would rip apart. Yeah, sure, but that's not happening. Abyss mode is a lot of work. I love Abyss mode, but they're not going to do that yet. But yeah, any form of online mode where you can cooperate instead of fighting and gaining like maximum experience would go a long way. Casual players are interested in the skin collecting aspect, and you can tell them, oh, just go online and get your ass beat a whole lot and you'll get a bunch of skins. Like, yeah, that's true, but nobody wants to just go online and just get totally smoked over and over and over again. But hey, I got a skin for it. Just being able to go into a lobby where you're only going to be teaming up with other players, and then you can show off your skins to those other players, is going to be a big deal. So I just want a mode where we can play together online. We can get skins. They can show off their skins to other players if they're not playing with me. I think that that's really going to help this game a lot more than hardcore players are willing to admit. Sometimes casuals, they just want to see the win screen, man. I think they could also announce special melee. Dan has already said that he wanted to add special melee sooner than later, because it is easy to implement compared to the other large-scale modes that are popular for casual players, and it's something that they can continue to expand over time. Special Melee is like in it's called that, but I think they've only ever called that in Super Smash Bros. Melee. But it's just the mode where you can like make characters bigger, you can make them smaller, you can make it so all characters have metal mode, you can have it so all characters the curry fire power at all times. I think there's other modes like all characters have the lips flower on their head at all times. Things like stamina mode. Those are the sorts of things that they add a lot of longevity to your fighting game, and they don't take that much work to add. And then I think it's really cool that in the case of Rivals 2, they can keep adding cool things like that, even things that like character players are recommending, like, oh, it would be really cool if we had an anti-gravity mode where everyone can jump really high, or a mode where everyone has infinite jumps. Those sorts of things would be really cool to add to Special Melee, and they can keep adding more over time. And we just have this huge list of Special Melee things, and then like you can stack them, so all characters are really big and everyone moves at double speed and everyone has infinite jumps, and then also maybe shields are turned off. Yeah, turbo mode would be really fun. These are all things that are, they aren't like, oh, you just flip a switch in the code and now it's there and that's just something you can play with. Like, it does take work to make these things, but it's a lot less work than the other things that casual players are interested in. But having the silly game modes section, and then having it so that like every week a new one becomes available for an online queue. Like this week it's big melee, everyone's really big. Maybe it's like a free-for-all mode, or it's a 2v2 mode. They can swap that too. And then the week after it's 2x speed mode where everyone moves really, really fast. And then the week after, it's sudden death mode, where everyone has 10 stocks, but you're at 300%, so any move will kill you. These things, they could change them out weekly, so people have like a new funny mode to play every week. You can queue it up with your friends for it, or you can do a private lobby where you can just create your own funny modes with whatever options there are in Special Melee. I think that's the easiest thing for them to do, to the point where I would not be surprised if that is something that gets announced at EVO. I don't think a Smash Run or Abyss mode is completely off the table for this game's future, but I still think it's a little too early to announce modes of that scale. If we get an updated roadmap, I think they would be on there. Like, they've already talked about that they want to do Smash Run. It was on the player survey. I think Smash Run will be something we do eventually see, or, you know, our own version of it somehow. It could be cool. That's everything I had to talk about. Was there anything else anyone wanted to talk about before we move on? Smash with items is so fun. Yes, Smash with items is really fun, but items are very expensive to make. We are probably never, I say probably because maybe they'll figure out a way to do items in a way that fits the game's scope a little better. One thing you have to understand with like items is how much work goes into making these things. Like I know that a lot of items in Smash will share animations. Characters who are holding an item, they don't usually change their like idle animation for it, but like if they're fighting poses, you know, like this, and then they have an item, they'll just be doing that. Like the animation of picking an item up, the animation of throwing an item away, the animation of throwing an item, and the new input required for that. A bunch of different items are going to require different animations, like picking up a box is going to be a completely different animation. Things like Parasol and Melee, that's a completely different animation, and that's a completely new like movement style you have to program. Like every single item added to the game is incrementally more work. Especially when your cast gets bigger and bigger. Items, if they ever do happen, it's going to be very, very, very late. Or they're going to figure out a way to do items that fits within their scope. Like if our version of items was literally just like Smash Ball, but maybe it doesn't do like a final smash because that's a whole lot of work. But an item like a Smash Ball, it's flying around and you beat it up and you get some power up. Or like a mushroom where it's just you pick it up and you get a power. Or the Starman, you know, you pick it up, you become invincible. You just touch it and you become invincible. You don't have to pick them up, you just touch them. We could have items that are just things on the field that either you destroy them or you touch them. You interact with them in some way that doesn't require extra animation work and you get a power up. You create a stage hazard. Those sorts of things would be very easy to make compared to the items in Smash. People might not like them as much, but I think that would be a good place to start. I'm just going to say it's going to be Eliana. I'll be right at some point. Eventually, I promise.